We'll be following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL. There's Willie Mason.
I've forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Plus. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
Welcome to another episode of The Take with Willie and Iain. I know it's episode 6. Now, it's
I
written
was
on
wondering
the
what
top.
you were trying to get to me.
Well, I was trying to
Sign
find
language and stuff. I thought, what are you talking about, dude?
It's number 6. It's number 6.
We're at
We're
6.
very well prepared. We had the terrible news today that Tommy Raudonikis passed away. He's a legend of the game, and Willie, you've had a bit to do with him.
Yeah.
Full. I hope his family and friends are rallying around each other, and it's terrible news.
It is terrible news. He's one of the greats of the game. Like what he did for New South Wales, what he did for the game back in the 70s and 80s. There's so many stories about Tommy, mate. It's ridiculous. And you only hear when you go to like kangaroo reunions and all that kind of stuff and a few talks, and Tommy's been there. He's got some fucking good yarns, I'll give you that. So God rest his soul, Tommy. He's one of the greats.
My favourite part of today was actually when we were together earlier, and a bloke came up to Will and asked if he had played with Tommy Raudonikis.
How bad was that?
So
I was in there for a little production meeting or whatever it was, and this bloke was about, I reckon, what, in his 70s, 75? He goes, excuse me, mate, you played with Tommy. I was like, Tommy Raudonikis? He goes, fuck, I'm not that old, mate. Jeez. Then he had a yarn about it, so it was good, no.
Will had a good career playing with Dally Messenger, Clive Churchill, Ken Irvine, all the greats. The other bit of news today that has come out, I don't actually know if it's been confirmed or not yet, but it looks, when there's smoke, there's fire. But Jake Friend has apparently announced his immediate retirement for rugby league. Obviously suffered a pretty nasty concussion again a couple of weeks ago, and has obviously been tossing up his future and that sort of thing. So it appears as if he has given the game away, Will.
I think that's it's scary. I remember watching that last game he played. I'm not sure was it round 1 or 2?
Yeah, one of them.
And I watched that incident and I went, he's done. I'm not done for the game. I was thinking he's going to retire. He'll have to retire from this. He plays a physical game, Friendy, and he's just copped one too many. I think there's like 20 concussions. He's played over 270 games. Granted, I'm glad he got his taste of Origin and he won last year. He's played Test football. He's won 3 premierships. He's captain. He's a co-captain of the side for the last 2. Mate, he's done a phenomenal job, and he should be very proud of his career if he is hanging the boots up. And I've talked to Friendy. I'm very close to Friendy and Boyd Cordner. I do a little bit of work with him in the preseason. And I'm always worried. I don't ask them about football. I don't do anything about that because I know their football side is fine. It's the concussions and stuff. Both those guys are in the same book, are in the same boat. So every time I do talk to them, I don't talk about stuff. I'm like, how's your head? How's this and that? They're always positive. But I'm glad that they've been, like even Boyd Cordner just ripped away from the team a little bit, so they know it's not always about football. It's not always about winning and losses and all this kind of stuff, because you tend to stay in that bubble and you protect it in an NRL sort of thing. But when you venture out and you start living your own life and you're not playing football in and out, like week in, week out, recovery, this and that, like it's never ending. But once you step back from that, which these two blokes have, they're about, they're nearly, I think Friendy's maybe 31 this year. I think Boyd might be 28, 29. They've had terrific careers. Maybe they're probably thinking, life after football more. Is football worth it? My health, my mental health, my brain, everything like that. They get the chance to step back. Credit to the Roosters for putting them in that position, because some clubs probably wouldn't do that. They've been at the forefront of that. So respect to Friendy, and nothing but love for you, mate. And hopefully he enjoys retirement. There is more to football. That's my main point. There's more to football. Like they've done a lot more than a lot of the guys in the game. He can step away from the game achieving everything. So
looking at the thing, I don't know. It's not coincidence, but the fact that the Roosters, they're 2 co-captains in Cordner and Friend, are the 2 people at the moment. Boyd Cordner's obviously sitting out for the first 12 rounds or whatever it is, and Jake Friend's potentially now going to give the game away. The Roosters must now be seen as the benchmark of how to handle concussions. My issue is that Boyd Cordner and Jake Friend, you've just said yourself that they've achieved everything in the game. So they're in a position now. Jake Friend, he's got a couple of businesses. He's in with Dave Martin from Courtyard. They've got a cafe. He's got a
Friendy's plumbing.
He's going well. He's going well outside of football. Boyd Cordner, I think, has got interests outside of the game. My concern is, what about the blokes that don't have that? What about the blokes that are at the start or the middle of the career and they're starting to get repeated head knocks? And there are a few around. You think about Ryan Madison, for example. Ryan Madison, when he was at the Roosters, had 4 or 5 weeks off. Then he went to the Tigers. I think he got through that all right. But then last year he had weeks off with concussion. He had a bad knockout. And now again this year. So Ryan Madison's in the middle of his career.
Yeah, and he's about 25. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's under 25. Yeah. That's a good point, and I do worry about that because those blokes are fine. The Roosters are going to look after him for life, and I think they're set life after football. The other side of the coin is, James McManus, perfect example. Jimmy, I played with Jimmy for 3 years in Newcastle. Early retirement from head knocks.
Yeah,
and there wasn't that much of a hoorah about it and everything like that. It wasn't. No one was kicking up a stink, and he was sort of left. And he's bitter against the Knights. He's gone to court and stuff like that against the Knights about they should have known, should have been more due diligence done or something like that. I'm not really, don't quote me on any of that, but like he's really against what happened to him. So he's on the other side. There's other players that have been retired from head knocks, and it's a shame. I'm not sure really what the game can do about that. The RLPA, they try and reach out. The NRL try and reach out. I think it's more the RLPA. The NRL doesn't care, really. You have a look at, just say, a little example, Bronx Sherry. I think he did an interview the other week with Danny Weiler, and they go, he's a young kid, 20 years old, suspended for 4 years. You got to worry about the mental health and everything of our young kids. Have you heard from the NRL? No. Why aren't people reaching out? Like Friendy and Boyd will get all the help they need. They'll be fine. This is a whole different conversation with all these other kids that aren't as successful as the Boyd Corners and Jake Friends.
But they'll get support from the club. I mean, the issue is, I think, if you are going to be serious about concussion and you're going to be serious about looking after people, not just when they're playing, but about their careers after football, and you're big on this because obviously you've realised now that you've had a glittering career as a player, and I don't say that lightly. You will be, a Hall of Fame player at some point. You've been retired for 5 years now. You have realised now that there is much more to life than just football, right? Now, these blokes are in the middle of the career. Willie Mason in 2007, for example, there's no career after football.
You would never, you don't even think. Yeah, you don't think.
You're not thinking about
all your eggs into one basket, and that's being the greatest player and just getting the best out of yourself. I've got a big qualm with everything that goes on, especially with retirement. Just say, perfect example, Cameron Smith retired this year. 15 plus vet, 15 plus years. Just say some kid who's been in the system for, 5 years. He decides to retire. They both get the same medical.
Yeah.
2 years. Oh, what a fucking joke. I'm not sure whose problem this is with the NRL. I think there should be levels to shit. If you play 1 to 5 years, you get 2 years. If you play 5 onwards, you get 5. You play 10 plus, 15 plus, you get lifetime insurance. You don't care, and you only got 2 years after you retire to get to fix all your mess up.
So for people who don't understand, what he's talking about is, and it's not just rugby league. To be fair, rugby union's the same.
It's bullshit.
Rugby union actually only have 1 year, I think. Yeah. So if you have a long career in a game and you have injuries in that game, then you've got a period of time post you retiring where you will be helped in getting it treated, whether it's an operation or whatever.
And trust me, you don't feel the injuries that you've had until about 4 or 5 years into your retirement.
Yeah.
You're not going to go out and say, I need my back done, because it just doesn't happen like that. It's just worn, you know what I mean? Like, there's wear and tear of the body for ages, and you're not going to fix it in 2 years, get your back operated. You want to enjoy your life for 2 years and just chill out. You don't want to be sitting on an operation table for half of that time. You only got 2 years, so I think that's a load of shit. I've always got a big drama with that. I hate it.
And also, what people probably don't understand is that when you're playing a professional sport, you're never going to be fitter than what you are in that professional sport.
No.
So if you retire within that next 12 months, it's going to take you 12 months to lose that level of fitness. You're not going to know about injuries and things until, all of a sudden, some blokes lose weight, some blokes put weight on.
And I think it's up to the RLPA or whoever's looking after the place to really go for that. I mean, it's something that's shits a lot of my mates are in that position. We've all been retired for 5+ years now. Everyone's body is fucking stinking. You know what I mean? Like it's the troubles start right now, not within the first 2 years. I don't even remember the first 2 years I retired.
No.
I was overseas. I was living life. I was having a good time. I didn't really care. I didn't want to go, oh shit, my back's a little bit sore. I'll go get an MRI and try and sit at home for 3 months trying to rehab my back. It's just not. You just can't do it. You don't care about that kind of stuff. It needs to be lifetime. You play 10, 15 years, proper NRL, and at an elite level, you have lifetime insurance, health insurance. That's like the NFL. If you put your work in the NFL, it's a lifetime insurance, and you can actually they've bartered that with the NFL. The NFL Players Association got that from the NFL because they know how important it is. Your health, like we don't just have 30. You get to 30 years and you just retire and then you're fine. It's a fucking lifetime of injuries and problems after you retire. Anyone who's played the game for 15+ years or 10+ years, you know what I'm talking about. Any sport, basketball, NFL, rugby union, cricket, anything. You're not in good nick.
Badminton's all right. Probably wrist injuries. And that's the other thing as well. Like, my opinion on this is that the NFL had that class action a few years ago, and it cost the NFL. I mean, the NFL's got more
Billions.
money than anyone, but they had to pay out, right?
I think it was $8 billion.
A lot of what I'm seeing now with the NRL, it just looks to me like it's window dressing to try and stop people from suing long term. So it's not about fixing problems. It's about going, well, if there's enough stuff that we do and we're proactive about it, well, then we can't get sued. And that's wrong.
That's all they do.
Because ultimately, if you do care about the players, I'll tell you now, players don't care about themselves. They will play and they will play and they'll put themselves, as you've always said, once you get a situation where all that seems to matter is potential litigation, you've missed the fucking point in the first place.
Well, that's what they're all about, the NRL, just stopping those lawsuits and everything. They act like they're being proactive to the game because they are stopping that kind of stuff. You know more than me about that kind of stuff, but they're not as proactive as they should be with the players. They don't really care about the players, trust me, especially the retired players. They care about the players right now. That's about it. If you retire, you're just used, man. And the more the current players, and they get that in their head, and the game just uses you. Use the game as much as they use you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're a commodity. All you are. You sell tickets. You play good football, and that's about it. Don't get caught up in your feelings when they say you're fucking done. I've always had that mindset. Even when I was like in my 20s, when I was at the dogs, I'm like, man, this game doesn't really care for me because I always talk to retired old players. They're like, man, get as much as you can out of the game because the game don't give a fuck about you. It's not loyal. They don't give a shit. You're expendable. All these sort of words. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. It's a business.
Yeah.
That's why my feelings weren't hurt when I was moving from other clubs and stuff like that. Because I looked at myself as a business. I didn't care about loyalty and stuff like. Once I seen through the bullshit when I was at the Dogs, I'm like, people were trying to screw each other over to get me here, there, and I'm like, oh wow, this is actually a load of shit. So I was peeped onto the game real young.
Perfect
so
example.
Didn't really. So my transition into retirement was nothing but fun. I embraced it. I didn't care.
Perfect example of that is Adam Reynolds, isn't it? Like you think about, it's a bloke who's a local junior who took them to their first premiership in 650 years, and he wants 2 years, and they go, no, we're going to give you one. Like
perfect example. Great segue, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, I reckon, looking at it realistically, loyalty in the game is one thing, but you can't talk about being loyal to players and players. And I understand from a fan's perspective that they want there to be the same love from the player to the club as what they have. But what they have to understand is that they don't love their employer, right? No. If you work at McDonald's or you work, as a tradie or you work as a whatever it is, doesn't matter what your career is, you don't love your employer to a point where you'll just cop any shit from them regardless. So it's different when you're an employee, and that's what people are when you play professional sport.
Yeah, and Reynolds is at the other end now. I mean, he's 31 years old? He's
Yeah.
done everything for that club. He's done nothing but be a proper student of the game, a great kid, never been in trouble, anything like that. He's a leader of the club. He's a captain of the club. He's a father. He's all these great things. Where's the grey area where like you want to flick him for what? You don't have the next Jonathan Thurston in your ranks.
No.
You know, all he's looking for is a 2-year deal. And they're trying to hedge their bets going, no one's going to pay $750 for Adam Reynolds for 3 years. Bullshit.
Someone will.
Bullshit. They'll pay more for that kid because he's a tried and tested first grader, NRL premiership winner, state of origin player, been on the cusp of representative football, but there've been some halves. As Cooper Cronk been in front of him for he's pretty much the peak of his career. Cooper Cronk was there. DCE's there now. You got Keary, but he could easily fit into an Australian side. Good halves are very hard to come along now. Have a look at our game. We can't fucking produce any halves. Have a look at some of the halves for the NRL teams. I wouldn't feed them. Yeah. They're so bad. They are awful. I'm not even going to name them because I don't want to embarrass you. It's pathetic some of these guys running around in the NRL. Then you got a fucking person who's a 200 gamer who actually loves your club and wants to play for you till he retires, and you're trying to fuck around with him?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, how much more does he need to do? He's gone through a couple of injuries. He's rehabbed himself. He's got fit. He's done everything. He's the key to that side. He's the heart and soul of South Sydney.
Yep.
When Adam Reynolds goes good, South Sydney goes good. I've always been hard on him a couple of times because I know how much he means to the team. I know how much halves means to the fucking team. So if he doesn't perform, they usually don't perform.
Yep.
So he's their spiritual leader. I can tell. I see him on social media. They love him. He's beloved in that club. If they lose him, that could be the downward spiral that they don't want and they don't need. Another 2 years, man. How hard it is to have that, to nurture a young halfback and come through the ranks and love that club like an Adam Reynolds does. Very rare. You do not get that. Keep it. You got another 2 years. Like, just give him his money. He will get close to $1 million because there is no halfback out there and there's no up and coming halfback, probably other than Sam Walker, but he's not tried and tested yet. Played one fucking game.
Yeah.
You know, talk to him. He played 200 games, won a grand final, couple of origins. Then you got a first grader there, man. He loves the club. It's different. He didn't come from anywhere else. He threw the ranks at Redfern. He's a different breed of kid.
That's I don't know. I guess I look at clubs and they are businesses, right? And so anyone who thinks that a club's not a business is kidding themselves. One of the reasons why this comp is so lopsided is the fact that as a business, a lot of these clubs are failing, right? The front office is buying blokes and, you know, I look at some of the rosters that are going around and the rosters are the reason that you've got blowouts. People talk about, I don't know, how do you feel about depth? I feel like there's enough good players around. I think that what clubs are doing is they're buying the wrong people in the wrong positions. The Bulldogs struggle. What do? They go out and buy wingers. They buy Nick Kotrick and Addo Carr. Like, that's not your problem.
Yeah. Look at the club, look at the teams that were, the players that were on offer last year. You know, David Fafita was off. Big Tino was off. Like, if you had the eye for talent and you knew what was going on, if you're the recruitment officer for most of these Sydney teams, I'm not sure if they actually pursued it, but I would pursue a lot harder than the Titans did. Give the kid $1 million because I know he's going to make it up. Do you know what I mean? Like, stop trying to hedge your bets with everything like that. Try and get outside backs and try and get this and, you know, like, get your forward set. Everyone with a great four-pack wins. And I mean, like, just... It's the development, and the main point is, like, I've seen a lot of things like, are we big enough as a franchise or the NRL to go for another team? That's the bottom line. Are we big enough to expand? Do we have enough depth? These are questions I don't really know, but looking at the talent right now, no. I look at reserve grade, Intrust Super Cup up there, New South Wales Cup here, terrible. Absolutely terrible. I can go back and fucking play like that shit.
I reckon also...
Don't quote me on that.
Well,
don't call me out, some of you dudes.
Well, do you know what? Carmichael Hunt's still playing. He's 400 years old. You know, he's still playing reserve grade and doing quite well, and he's putting his hand up for the Broncos. But, look, I think if you look at...
We're not developing kids, man.
The Cowboys are a perfect example. You talk about Adam Reynolds and you talk about development. Now, they've got Jake Clifford, who's going to the Knights next year. Jake Clifford can't make the start side. They've got Ben Hampton... And I'm not saying Ben Hampton's not a good footballer because he is a good footballer. But he's played wing last year, fullback. He was bought as a centre from Melbourne. He's played everywhere. So you've now got – don't tell me that the Cowboys aren't going to make a play for Adam Reynolds when they've got a utility player playing at 7.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's what they're going for.
Yeah,
and they know the Cowboys will. And there's other halves out there that's just other teams out there that want a quality half like that. There's not that many teams with great halfbacks.
No,
look at the Titans. Titans are probably one halfback off winning the comp. Yeah. They can't win the comp with the two that they got there now. 100%. But you throw Adam Reynolds in there, great game controller, great kicking game, good defender, good ball player, great leader. Then you go, all right, you might tip them next year. But like don't be stupid enough. Don't test his arm. Don't put him in that position.
He'll go. 100% he'll go.
He's at the back end of his career. He just wants if they offer him a 1-year deal at just say 600, 650, which is a deal, or he gets a 3-year deal at North Queensland for $1 million a year. Come on, man.
What would you say?
What else has he got to prove at the club? And they put him in a position where he has to go. And what have you got in your ranks? You've got no one.
I reckon.
I just think the game's development problems. I listen to Gus a lot, and he's got his feet on the ground there. He knows what's going on with development. And we don't develop enough juniors. I mean, in the right positions. We're not developing halfbacks. We're not developing hookers or 5'8s. Have a look at the game. Have a look at our halves for the Australian team. We can't even fucking pick it.
I still reckon if you look at a jigsaw puzzle, you can't get the jigsaw puzzle to finish unless the pieces go in the right spot. I look at some of the recruitment decisions that are getting made, and it's a joke because you've got plenty of good players, but there are certain pieces of that jigsaw that just don't fit. And I think that you can blame coaches, but there's a lot of effort that needs to be put into recruitment.
Yeah, we got some questions from Facebook, have we? Come here, Zig. Oh.
Mate, one other thing before we go on to doing the games. There's a lot of questions.
I can't read. Toronto High.
It's difficult reading and doing things. I'm not good at doing two things at once. One thing you wanted to talk about, Will, was Manasi Fainu, who came out, did an interview. He's obviously up on some pretty significant charges and going through a tough time. Does an interview trying to, explain how he's trying to better himself as a person. Ends up on the back page of the paper basically saying that he's addicted to prescription drugs. Yeah,
well, that's the Telegraph for you, isn't it? How bad is that? Like I know little Manase Fainu. He's a good kid. He's up on some pretty pretty serious charges. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he went there with an open heart and tried to tell the Telegraph, thinking that it's probably going to be a good story. I mean, read the fine print; it's a good story.
Yeah.
But man, people just read headlines: drug addiction, depression. Come on, man, and you wonder why players don't really want to come out with this mental health shit. Us should know better than that, man. But I fucking understand because the Telegraph just sell that shit. Yeah, it sells. It's a back page of Sunday Telegraph. It's a big fucking paper. It's over 1 million copies sold. But his feelings were hurt because it's like, dude, I went out there, I try and, reach out there and do the right thing and try and send a message to young kids, young footballers, everything like that. And I come across like this. It's just terrible. And I'm glad the NRL fraternity, Brandon Smith come out and stuck up for him saying, pretty much the words that I echoed then. That's why players don't really want to do interviews about mental health and about, addiction and all that sort of shit because you get fucking pissed on. Yeah. And it's terrible. He's a good young kid. He's still got a massive future. He just needs to stay on the straight and narrow path and he'll have a big future in the game. He's just going through some dumb shit, some shit that he went through. Oh, it's hard to just watch and just and look at fucking interviews like that. It's like, far out. Why would you do that to a young kid?
Yeah, it's not.
He's bearing his soul to you, and you treat him like that. Dog shit,
mate. Just one quick question before we move on, which I think is a good question. What would be a happy deal for both the Rabbitohs and Adam Reynolds? I reckon 2 years.
2 year deal.
2 year deal.
Give him 2 years. Give him next year, the year after. He's going to be 33 at that stage.
Sign.
Maybe he doesn't want to play on after that. Maybe he wins a premiership in the next 2 years and just rides off into the sunset.
That's from Shane.
You don't want to lose that kid.
Good on you, Shane. Thanks for watching,
Keep it
mate.
there.
All right. So round 5, and let me tell you, round 5 is, I don't ever remember a round of football where there are so many red-hot favourites and so many sides that look like massive outsiders. You've got upsets, over the last 3 or 4 years, there's been huge upsets. It just doesn't seem like this year's got upsets in it,
Yeah. And I'm all for the upsets. Now I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I thought the Warriors are going to win, all that kind of stuff. I'm always very optimistic with that shit. But it started off on the Thursday. The Panthers just fucking ran rough shot through Manly. You know what I mean? And even the next one, 46-6, 38-0, and 40-6 in our first 3 games.
There's a carve up.
I guess I'm not sure if the defenses are really good. The level of playing field, is so lopsided. I'm not sure because I look at most teams, they seem pretty stacked and seem pretty even. Is it the coaching? Is it the players just absolutely playing dog shit? Like the Bulldogs haven't scored a fucking point in 3 weeks. I think that's a record since the game turned professional. I don't think any team has started the year off in 3 games and not scored a point. So,
fact check.
Well done.
Don't
fact check me, please.
Wasn't Trent Barrett the attack coach at Penrith?
Yeah, they're just learning stuff off him now. They stole his playbook.
There's some problems. I mean, look, there's some problems at the Bulldogs. All right, the first game of the round is the Rabbitohs versus the Broncos. The only thing that might help the Broncos here is the fact that Cody Walker's out.
Is he out, Walks?
Yeah, he took the early guilty.
Oh, okay.
So,
was that for that push? No.
Yeah, for the
little scuffle.
Yeah.
Wow. We're Flanagan. People don't understand. Like, I watched that little I'm not sure if he got suspended for that. I'm not sure. But when Flanagan had him on the ground while Flanagan had the ball, and I watched it because obviously they don't show all that shit. I watched the whole thing in fucking rewind and slow motion. I watch games. And I was like, yeah, Cody Walker had every fucking right to get up there. And I would have, oh, jeez. Like, he had elbows in his face. He was, like, rolling around with him. It was like Cody Walker was trying his best to get up, and that little dude kept holding him down. And he gets frustrated, Cody. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking, I knew as soon as I watched that tape, I was like, he's going to get up and fucking throw hands. He's lucky he didn't. And, wow, I can't believe he got suspended for that shit.
That was a Friday night game? I was that full of piss. I was on the SCG coaching my little bloke and his team.
I know, you were sending me some videos. It was
well
great
done
coaching, mate.
Yeah, well, we won
great
10-0.
role model,
Oh, no. They shouldn't have let me in the ground, honestly. But I've got my working with children certificate, so it's fine. So, yeah, look, I think, I don't know, the Broncos.
Bronx were sad.
I look at the Broncos now, and I think for 2 years I've been saying they're a good young side, blah, blah, blah. They're not a good young side because they can't win.
Yeah.
So
they just don't. They've just lost it. I mean, they played 20 minutes against. That was one of the lowest games I've seen for a while. Bulldogs and Broncos, and the last 20 minutes that it opened up and they scored 4 tries. Then I think they got a little bit carried away and then got a real check against the Storm.
Apparently Walker got suspended for an elbow to the back of the head.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I was going to say something about that anyway. What else?
You should have fast forwarded to that. The Warriors playing the Sea Eagles. Manly, what's going on with Manly?
I don't know. DCE's got to be under some pressure. I mean, I know he hasn't got that much cattle with him, but they're terrible. Like Dylan Walker, what a fall from grace. You know what I mean? Didn't he play for Australia and New South Wales in 2014 or 15? He would not make my run on side in any side.
Having him at fullback.
At fullback, he can't catch. He can't tackle. Once you get through the front line, you score. There's no resilience back there. I feel sorry for him, man. They're just in a really bad spot. I'm not sure who the worst team is, Sea Eagles or the Dogs.
It was a bad look when Jake Trbojevic, and anyone who enjoys and who loves rugby league would be 100% guaranteed to love Jake Trebojevic's passion for the game. He sat there and he's blowing up about the way they're playing. Blokes are ignoring him.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's hard to watch.
And Jakey's such a great young kid and a great leader of that club. So, when he talks, he holds weight. And for those kids, no, it does usually. Yeah. He holds weight in the heaviest of sides. For Australian teams in New South Wales, people listen to Jake because he doesn't say that much.
He carried the energy in Origin last year, and he can't even get it.
And then for them to have that lack of respect for even fucking eyes up, please.
Yeah, look at him.
Look at the ground and shit. He's one of your leaders, man. Take note, young Manly kids. Fucking respect that guy. I'm not saying you don't respect him, but when they talk, when these senior players talk, fucking look, please. That would lose him.
Oh, if you're known from 4, it's
he's
perception.
a young kid. He's that kid, man. He's still a young kid. He's only 25, 26. He's got thrust into that leadership role and leadership in a lot of sides, representative sides. But it's sad to see. That sucked.
People can cop.
I can't cop that shit.
People can cop a team losing if it looks like the players are trying.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Manly are trying. If you're a Manly supporter, then I don't know. Maybe find another team.
Go and hang out with some Bulldog supporters.
Lotto Land. I've been to Lotto Land. They need to renovate.
At least they scored a point.
Remember when you played for the Eagles?
Yeah, it was great.
I actually didn't go to one game. You played there. It was too far. I went to Newcastle games.
Yeah.
All right. So the Panthers against the Raiders. This is the game of the round.
Yeah. We'll talk about this one.
What
do you think of the Panthers? I'm not really sold on them. I am sold on them, but like last week's game, I don't care. It's Manly.
I think
this one we're talking about.
This is test. Look, anyone who thinks the Panthers are actually quite heavy favourites in this game, and I don't understand why, because that Raiders side, they've lost one game where they had literally no bench left. They have beaten every other side.
Big flex last week.
100% against the Titans. What they did to the Titans, people shouldn't underestimate that. It was, that was a really comprehensive win. So I think this will be close.
Yeah, I'm sold on both teams. These will be top 4 teams.
Yep.
The Panthers just keep getting stronger and stronger. Brian Toto, oh my goodness, averaging nearly 300 meters a game. It's like Matty Utai 2.0 in 2002 to 4. Like unstoppable. He is ridiculous. And Luai, Cleary, so many names, man, that have really jumped out from last year. Thinking they're actually good. Is it a fluke the first year? Nah, it's no fluke. Kick out. They are the real deal. I thought losing Tarmow would be a little bit of a little bit of a problem. Not big. Moses Leota comes, Spencer Leon who comes off the bench. You got Fisher Harris who steps it all up a gear. Fucking. Capewell, kick out, Isaiah Yeo, probably one of the best locks in the game. They're so well balanced. They all complement each other. They pass the ball around. That's the difference between the really good packs and the simple packs. Like the packs like the Bulldogs and the Eagles, apart from Djokovic, they know how to pass the ball to each other.
Yeah.
The Dogs, they know, they'd rather run into a brick wall.
I'll tell you who I love, Will, now. And last year I thought he was a good footballer. Jerome Luai, the way he brings energy, I've said it a couple of times now, I don't reckon I've seen a bloke so happy and excited to play football. He looks like he's a
energy
kid
bunny
out there. Oh,
they're all about the same age. About 5 or 6 of them come up in the same ranks. They love each other. They're complementary of each other. They tackle for each other. They work for each other. It'll show that last a couple of weeks ago when Kickout made that big play. They do shit that a great team does. Yep. They play for each other. That's what a team does. They do these little things. So, yeah, this will be a good game, man.
It'll be. I'll tell you what it is, Will. There's probably only 5. There's 5 decent sides in the comp, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. That's what the first. So when one of those top 5 sides play each other, it's a good game. When one of the middle ranking sides play each other, it's generally a shit game of footy, but it's close, so that's good. It's just those blowout games. One of the other games that's going to be, I think, close.
This is the second, yeah.
Yeah, the Titans and the Knights. So neither side's setting the world on fire. The Knights have got some injuries, but they've also got Ponga coming back.
I hope to God they didn't rush Ponga back. I'm pretty sure, they're not that dumb to rush him back. So a lot of supporters thinking, it's a knee-jerk reaction trying to get Ponga back. Nah, man, he wanted to come back round 1 in his eyes. So he's been 4 weeks short of what he had his expectations on. So. The Knights have got some improvement to do that. A really, ordinary weekend. Their forward pack's still doing a good job, but you're losing Pearce. How do you replace him? You can't. You know what I mean? You got to get Ponga up there, but they're going to have to go back to basics. Their forward pack's doing a job, but they need to pull the trigger and score some tries, and they've lacked that.
Blake Green is a terrific player. He looked
underdone, mate.
He looked underdone.
Early underdone and rushed back. That's what that looked like. Titans, on the other hand, great forward pack, but they can't win the game without an attacking 7 or 6. Can we get an early ball to Fafita, or can you bring him onto the ball? He seems to be getting the ball flat-footed a lot, and they're just trying to rely on him, bringing him and jumping him, taking him under so he can attack the ruck the other way. Like going against the grain, players, I mean, teams, they game plan for that sort of shit. You know, he's the hardest bloke to tackle when he got the ball like he did against the Broncos at the line, change your direction, spot that 3-man up, spot the little bloke up. Like, but no one's bringing him onto the ball. So what's he supposed to do? Get early ball and he's not fucking Superman.
Yeah.
He can do that sometimes when there's people they'll come up, the 4-man, which is usually one of the best defenders, the right 4 in the side, which is usually particularly your back rower. He's going to help his halfback and solve the problem, especially when it's early ball. When you commit that 4-man in the line and you get Fafita one-on-one with that 3-man, that's when we're talking.
Yeah.
You know, like the last 3 or 4 minutes, they didn't give the ball to Fafita. And when they needed a try, they were still in the game with 5 or 6 minutes. They took him out of it. You know, Big Tino and Fodawaker and Wallace and all these big boys and Sony, they can only do too much. They can only do so much. They can be aggressive through the middle. They can tackle their asses off. They can do everything. But if you can't pull the trigger and you can't score tries, there's no point. And they can't do it. They can't do it. Like the halves that they got now, they're terrible.
Do you know what worried me, Will, was in terms of with Blake Green, when Pearce went down, they didn't put Blake Green on the field.
Yeah, because they knew that he was a safety blanket for someone.
He's not going to be able to play 60 minutes or whatever it was.
Well, they pushed Josh King on, who was a front rower.
Yeah.
And they shuffled around.
They moved Watson around, and that to me doesn't scream this bloke's ready to play 80 minutes of football. So I think the Knights are probably going to struggle with that. I think Connor Watson's been one of their best players, and the more he's involved in the game, the more things seem to happen. And I think with Ponga back involved, but I just think that Titans forward pack's too good.
Yeah, I agree. Dogs and Storm, no one really. I mean, Storm's going to wipe the floor with them.
What do you think the Bulldogs can do? They got Luke Thompson back this week. I don't know. How do they get better? I don't know how they improve. I honestly don't.
Neither do I. It's hard to put your finger on. They're just playing that bad of football. They can't score tries. They can't defend tries. It's just I really don't know. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of Bulldogs supporters and fans and all that kind of shit. I'm like, I can't give you an answer. You know, I mean, apparently they're training well and everything they're doing at training is just not happening on the field.
Training the house down.
Yeah, I mean, you can do everything at training, but it's just not translating onto the field. So, you know, Baz has got his hands full, man. Like trying to get that, whatever you see on the training paddock is not translating onto the field. So just hard work, man. They've just got to get themselves out of this hole. And I can see, I've never been in a position where even in one game they haven't scored a point. I don't think I've ever been in a game where we got beat 0. Don't fact check me because it's probably a couple of times. But
you played 290 games.
Not that many times, man. Definitely not 3.
1.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, but I've never been in that position, so I just don't know. What do? You run the ball harder. But sometimes when you're in a position like that, you seem to get selfish and worry about your stats. I was never a stat player or anything like that, but I know it's fucking embedded in some of these young kids trying to get 100 meters, trying to get all these sort of stats that make them look good for the coaches. Oh, I got over 100 meters, it was good. No one cares, man. You know, like they stat chase at the end of games and they don't pass the ball. So why? Perfect example. Why run into the middle of 3 blocks when you can just, okay, I get the ball, I can pass a little bit wide to my back row and he runs it the smaller half. Quick play the ball. But no, tuck it under, no confidence, you want to get your meters. That's what a lot of their forwards do. They don't play football, they just play selfish football. And a lot of teams do that are losing. They just worry about themselves instead of like thinking the bigger picture. It's a team game, I can't get better without my other players, trying to make other players better. You know what I mean? Like and the half just sits there. He's just getting beat down, Flanagan.
So what if you're in a side and they haven't scored points? Who starts getting blamed? Like, are they blaming the halves?
Oh, mate, it's the spine. The forwards can only do so much. As I said, sometimes the forwards get a little bit selfish because they just get in that one-track mind. I'll get us out of here. I'll get us out of here. When it's harder to play football, but the halves have to like they have to do something. You know, like it's like he has no options, Flanagan. The back rows, and then the back rows seem to creep into the ball because they want the ball because they're not getting the ball and they feel helpless out there. So everyone seems to cram into the ball instead of playing when you play expansive football. Hold your posts, hold your positions, and let the forwards do their job and the halves do that. You see everyone just cramping in, trying to get the ball, trying to help. It's a wrong mentality. Still hold a game plan to some extent. You know, so that's probably the only sort of tip I can get because I've been in sides like, you know, when you're down on confidence and shit like that, it's hard to get out of, but it sucks, man.
Tell me the game on Saturday night is the Roosters and the Sharks. Tell me why you think the Sharks aren't re-signing Josh Morris, because he has got, I'm not going to say an average roster because there's some good footballers. He's winning games without Sean Johnson. He's dropped Andrew Fafita, who is a proven match winner, and he's winning footy games. So what is it about John Morris that the Sharks won't back?
I'm not sure. I honestly don't. Obviously, he doesn't get along. You can't get along with everyone as a coach, and he's only young. Like Johnny Morris is my age. I think he's only 40 years old. So I'm not sure what he's really done wrong.
Is that young?
It's pretty young.
Young for a coach.
It's fucking young for
Not
a
in real
coach.
life.
Like comparing to Wayne Bennett, who's 70,
Yeah.
bit different. But I don't. If I was a coach, I'd be like, yep, pretty not a bad roster. Always fighting for an 8th position. They got in the finals last year. They still got, what are they, 2-2 this year?
Yeah.
It's not an awful record compared to like guys like Maguire and all these other blokes, Barrett and all, Manly. They got a better rosters than for the Sharks sometimes. So I would re-sign him. I wouldn't just go, you're done, John Morris. They play a decent brand of football. He's got him going. He hasn't it doesn't seem to me that the players don't like him.
And he's cheap too.
Yeah,
Like you're getting your value for money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I didn't even know that he was on the outer.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not that he's not on the outer. It feels like the Sharks are making a play for someone, and they're going, well, you coach until we get someone better. It's a pretty shit attitude, I think.
It is.
But
that sucks. And he probably knew his place when he did sign, when he was the incumbent or whatever it is. I think he would have known.
what about the Roosters? Sam Walker, hype,
Yeah.
train, going berserk at the moment for the old Sam Walker.
Yeah, he's got a big future, but I'm not anointing anyone after one game. He's got a big future. Still got a lot to work on, but he's young. He's got so much upside. I can't say anything negative about the kid, but all I can say, I just look forward to watching that kid for the next 10 years and see how great he can be. That's just not. I don't like the pressure on young kids. He's got enough pressure on himself and everything like that comes with his name, and I just think just let the kid play. Let him play. Let him try and get the Roosters, get him back on top. He did well last week. He's fucking 18, this kid. 18 years old. Let's not anoint him as the next Joey or anything like that. Just let the kid play. Let him play out this year. Let him play next year, and we'll talk about it.
I don't know if anyone lives in Surrey Hills and you're currently trying to steal a car out the front. You're setting off a car alarm, and it's actually quite annoying. So
I can't even hear it. Oh, well, now I probably can.
Now you will. It's been driving me mad for about 5 minutes. It's Zig's car. Ziggy Parker, someone's stealing your car. Go and fix it. Having got a clipper?
Tigers and Cowboys, please.
Tigers,
I
Cowboys.
I don't care.
What, mate? Honestly, Todd Payton has he?
Who would want to be a fucking coach? Honestly,
it's the worst job in the world.
People always ask me, "You want to get into coaching, Willie?" No,
because I like my life.
Look at it. I actually like living my life and doing what I want to do. Like, you are under the pump so much. People just think you wake up and be Wayne Bennett and be Craig Bellamy. Like, it doesn't happen. These guys are greats. You know what I mean? There's so much hard work. Looking at John Morris under the pump. Looking at, Todd Payton and Maguire and
what about
Trent
last year?
Barrett. Like, it's fucking awful.
Last year, and their first year coach. Well, not first year coach, but
Yeah.
you look at Todd Payton last year. Everyone's going,
loving it.
Look how he got the Warriors going. He's a genius. He signs his contract. Oh, he's got Valentine's home. Now the bloke doesn't have a job. It's anyway.
Yeah. That's a Channel 9 game.
That game does sting.
Only because it's the reliving the rivalry, whatever, Scott.
Well, that's the 2005 grand final, except heaps shitter. And then the Eels. I'm not sold on the Eels. Like,
yeah, go.
I think I haven't tipped them, but I think St George could just about win that game.
I like the way the Eels are playing. They actually
do?
play complementary football. They play to their strengths. You got big Reggie Campbell-Gillard. He runs the ball straight and hard. He loves that contact. Then you got Junior Paulo, who loves contact, but with footwork, plays that block shape. Then you got Nathan Brown, who gets on the back of those blokes and can play football. He passes the ball. These kids pass the ball. You know what I mean? Their back rolls sit wide. They pour onto the ball. You got Gutherson out the back. You got Moses. You got that Brown kid. Like, they play some good footy, man. They throw a lot of footy at you, which is great. And they've got really good hands, and they hit the hole hard, man. They go hard. If you don't have 2 or 3 blokes on Junior Paulo, he's shrugging you off and he's getting
so
an offload.
good.
He's got a silky offload. And then you got Campbell Gillard who can pass as well. They've got a great combination there. It's great when you see front rows and back rows join up together, playing those block shapes, hitting the front man, playing some good football, and enjoying themselves. It's a pleasure to watch.
I'm still not sold in the O's. So there you go.
Neither am I. I tipped him not even being the 8, and I put the fucking Bulldogs in there.
I put the Tigers in there. Am I going? Apparently, though, for Tigers fans, they've got a much easier run after they lose their first 5 games or something. No, they're going to beat the Cowboys. All right. Well, it's time for something, Zig. It's time for something.
What is it?
Willie's Big Boy.
That fits.
I love it.
I like that new edition. It's good. All right, go on.
Oh, are you going to introduce me? No?
All right. Well, it's your show. I'd like to introduce now William Mason.
And his big boys.
He played a lot of football, and he's big, and he likes boys.
Anyway, my first big boy, 3 votes, is Big Papa, Josh Papali.
Why start with 3 again? Start with 1.
No, this is my segment. Until it says Ian Burns, fucking big little girls, or whatever it is. Minutes, 50 minutes, 1 try, 17 hit-ups, 193 metres. I mean, what else can he do? He started off the bench. He give, what's his name? Ryan James his start, but he just played an integral part. He scored that try. The game was in the balance. You got these young bulls like Big Tino and Fortawaker, Fafita. They were gunning, especially Big Tino. They were gunning down the middle, and he stopped it all. He was a beast. He come on and he played, pretty much, 50 minutes and just stopped everything. He was, he really had to flex his muscles on the weekend. It was great. Because I think he's always been in my top 5 of big boys, but I'm glad he got the 3 points. Big Tino is my second. He's just a machine, this young kid. I mean, he just doesn't stop. He's 71 minutes, 19 hit-ups, 200 metres, man. Like, that's ridiculous. This young kid's 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, has not one bit of fear about him. He's just a beast, man. Like, he just does all the little things good. I'm glad. And that's that Melbourne system. You don't miss a beat. Like, his wrestling is on point. The way that he runs his lines, everything is just like, it's absolute gold. I love watching that kid. My last point is Tariq Sims. I don't usually give him to the back rows, but god damn, that kid. I mean, did you see the tries he scored?
Good tries.
Like that line that he hit outside the 7. He just schooled everybody. Ran like 40 metres, stepped fullback. Scored 2 tries, hits like a fucking truck. He's always been one of my favourite players, Tariq. He's absolute beast. He holds a lot of energy in that team. I'm glad he's got the Dragons firing. So it's good to see these big guys firing, man. Like, they are such a big. Most of these guys, man, they hold so much energy inside. They've got big responsibilities. And as I said, like, every time I look at these guys, I've got to leave some good players out most of the time because I just look at who they're playing mostly. It's fucking hard. It's hard yakka. These guys run hard and straight, footwork, offloads, play big minutes, man. They're under the pump so bad. So, well done, boys.
Yeah, that's... and as I said, we're going to organise...
What are we getting for them?
Heaps of stuff, Will. All right, so we are going now to come in to the big fella, Big Harry, and we've got some wonderful things to discuss this week. Harold, yourself, myself, and William. You let us down. I'll tell you what the producer's written here, Harry.
Fire away. What's going on?
He has written, Willie and Iain won. Producer got second, so we are all looking good. You know what's not looking good, Harry?
My tips the last few weeks.
No.
I've got to pick up the game.
No. Him not winning and then trying to put himself in when he comes second. What do you get for second when you're back on the nose, Harry? You're a betting man.
You get nothing.
You get nothing.
Is that what he said? He's coming second, or he got second?
He wrote, we got second. In Miami bound, it's a no good. So next time that bettingsite.com.au pays second when you bet head-to-head, let me know.
I'll let you guys know, but hasn't happened at betting sites. So
it does not appear to be ever going to happen either.
No.
How's your week been, pal?
Look, it's been great. We had a great Easter. I was stuck in some of that horrible Good Friday traffic, as I'm sure everyone was. But apart from that, no complaints. Weird round of footy, lots of blowouts. But, hey, look, I love disrespectful lines, and Storm Bulldogs this week at 27.5 as disrespectful as it gets. So let's bring it on. Let's see if the doggies can turn it around.
Isn't that awful?
Let's just get to the point.
That's awful.
I won my multi.
Yeah, actually,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
my first
really
multi in what, since the show's been going? So
Ever.
I don't win.
Basically, we are supposed to have production meetings on Wednesday. Will and I have lost interest in the production meetings. We try not to turn up because it means time with the producer. But Will was there. Let me tell you, there was no production meeting this morning. Will was there bright and early by himself. Do you know why? So that he could talk about this segment and how he's bet one.
You got to take the wins when you can.
Oh, mate, ride the highs very high, mate.
We do.
Now he's like a bloodthirsty animal, and he won't let anyone forget about it.
No, he won't. So I'll start with mine actually, because I'm last start winner. So obviously
In form.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to go South 13 plus into the Panthers 1-12 because I think that game is closer than everybody is saying. The Roosters to cover the line, and then the Melbourne Rebels to cover the line.
Wow.
So the reason I've gone with the Rebels is because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to go 3 league bets and a union bet, and that's just going to fill up the coffers.
Still not making me watch.
Absolutely. Look, you'll have multiple screens on over the weekend. I like this. South's 13 plus. That appears pretty academic. Panthers 1-12. I also think that game will be closer than what a lot of people think. The Raiders at $3 are fantastic value. The last team to beat Penrith at Penrith Stadium was the Canberra Raiders.
See?
It was on July 27th, 2019, but they were the last team to do it. And a lot of those guys were there. So they know how to win there. And I mean, no one else seems to know how to do it, but Ricky will get them up. You know that Ricky will have
Ricky's
them.
good at that.
This is that type of game where
siege mentality.
He'll play into that.
He's crazy, mate.
The Roosters line's only 7.5. I thought that's pretty skinny considering I thought they might struggle for the first month without Luke Keary, but they played way better than what even I thought, and knowing how good they are. The 7.5 line feels skinny. Cronulla haven't beaten a top 8 team since round whenever in 2019.
Wow.
It didn't happen last year. Hasn't happened this year.
Okay,
right. The 7.5 feels very skinny. I think that's home and hosed as well.
It's always a brutal game. The Sharks and Roosters, they've got this rivalry there, so it's always closer than you think. The Sharks have upset them a heap of times. It's always a brutal game, man.
It always happens down at Shark Park, Willie. You're right.
Yeah, mate. I've played some games there. It's just like,
they bashed
fuck
them.
me, just a bashathon.
Yep.
Anyway, let's just get to my bet so I can win.
Yeah.
Hang on. Can we just explain to everyone what a wonderful amount of money I'm about to win for the club too?
$14.33 at Sportsbet.
That's your biggest bet.
$14 with a 4-leg multi. You're welcome, everybody.
Look, you're looking at what are we looking?
$700
plus.
Yeah.
Let me do the math. $700.
700, roughly.
All right, let's talk about
William.
one. I'm going to take the Sea Eagles. Is that the line? Hang on. I don't know how to read these ones, man. It's terrible.
Sea Eagles have got 7.5, I think. How long have they got? 7.5?
They do have 7.5, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to take that with a line. So I just explain it to all the people at home. I didn't really understand it. Now I do. And now I've got Penrith Panthers and Canberra under the total of 38.5. And then I have Parramatta and St. George over 42.5.
I like legs 2 and 3 of this multi.
Yeah. I'm not really sold on that first one. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, Manly plus 7.5. You're backing. They've been defending terribly.
Yeah, and I'm dipping into that, the fact that they have a bit of a rivalry with Manly and the Warriors back to 2011 grand final. So all the teams that have played in the grand final, it's always that bitter sort of energy. They've got to come out. It's just got to go. Something's got to turn around. It's just like, all right, let's go now.
Yeah, they can't keep stinking the joint up. That's right. But at $7.22, little 3-legger, look, you could put another 300 plus in your kitty, mate.
All right, beautiful.
That's good. The producer, do you know what? He's done a heap of stuff. I'm not going to even bother reading it out, but he's done a lot of stuff. For everyone who is keen to lose their money, then head to social media. It'll be all up there. You're
not even going to read it?
No, I'm not going to read it. It's too hard. Too many teams. It's doing my head in. So let's go straight to Harry. Harry, you've already come through with the biggest win of the year so far. We'd have close to $2,000 in the kitty too already, wouldn't we?
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting close. Hopefully, a few of us get some up this weekend, and we'll go well. We'll go closer to 3,000.
There we go.
Yeah. So looking through mine, the good folk at Sportsbet, I've gone Warriors -7.5. I think they'll cover that. I like the Panthers head to head, but I don't think they're going to win by much. So I've just gone conservative, gone the head to head. I like the Titans at the -8.5 line. This game for the Titans just feels like a gimme. It's one of those in the schedule where it's, the Knights have got 11 blokes out. We just have to win. We're at home. And the Knights, their last 3 visits up to Seabus Super Stadium have just been awful and leaked 30-plus points in all those games. So I think the 8.5, I think the Titans are specials for that. The Roosters head-to-head, they'll win the 16th of their last 19 at the SCG. And then the Tigers head-to-head, just the Cowboys have just been so dreadful. And the Cowboys, I looked it up, they've only won 4 games since the start of 2017 in Sydney.
Yeah, right.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I just think, it's hard to trust a team that comes 9th every year, but that stat's alarming for North Queensland. So
with all of these massive blowouts, is that good for? I mean, who's that good for? Is it good for punters or is it good for the bookies? Where does it sit?
Bit of both.
Well, it's funny. I looked 12 of the 32 games so far this year haven't been just 13-plus scorelines. They've been 20-plus scorelines.
Fair dinkum.
So I mean,
can you bet 20 plus? Is that a bet?
Yeah, you can go into the 30s. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So I mean,
don't give me that idea.
Yeah. So before it cottons on, that's where the value is. The 20 plus lines.
That's
So it's good for the punters in that aspect because you can get some $4 and $5 odds when you start getting into the 20s. For the game as a whole, I think it's horrible. But
it's awful.
Yeah,
it's salary cap is not working. Let's expand it. Let's get it. Let's have no salary cap.
$86
Go back to the 2002 salary cap.
Yeah, let's go to the Bulldog salary cap.
That was a good salary cap, that one. Mate, beautiful. Thank you. Next week, do you know what? This is actually a momentous occasion for us because we have never, ever, I don't think, in the history of this show.
Had me win.
You've never won, but we've never had 2 winners in 1 week. Or maybe me.
Oh, did you win?
Please, did I win? Of course I won.
It's all about me, mate.
This week, I reckon we're 3 or 4. Producer fails, and we all get up.
The rich get richer. Let's hope that's the way it goes.
All right, mate. And just a reminder that I am in charge of shit shirts on this show. So next week, go a bit more conservative.
I'll be way more conservative. Willie, I can't quite see what you're wearing, but if you're going to bet right, you got to do it at betting.
I have no shirt.
So.
Thanks, mate. We'll speak to you next week.
All right. Catch you guys next week.
Cheers, pal.
All right. See you.
William.
All right, guys. Make sure you gamble responsibly.
I definitely do. Well, you do
I
too.
do now. I'm not hitting these $200 multis anymore.
I miss the 500 legs. Tips, William. Do you know what? This is a really easy segment because we've all done the same thing.
Where are my
tips? They're on the other side. Just flip it over.
Right,
we've all tipped Rabbitohs, Warriors, Panthers, Titans, Storm, Roosters, Tigers, and Eels.
Someone's got to go different. That's ridiculous.
Do you know what? Can I just point out as well? Last week, the producer, I can't remember which game it was, on our social media pages, it clearly stated that he picked a side. And then he says, I got 8 out of 8. And he's flipped so I am going to be very, very
You're just angry because you
watching.
didn't get a straight one.
That could also play some part, but I'm going to watch it from now on, and I will not allow
cheating. He's tipping good. He's tipping very good.
Oh, it's good for him to do something. All right, William. So we're going to the headline now.
All right.
Have you noticed there's sort of I don't know, I would say there's a bit of a theme that emerges
what is it?
with you being a pisshead in the headline. The headline is get hammered and have a blinder.
Yeah.
So apparently and I mean this is all allegedly, this is all paper
Yeah.
talk. You and a certain someone who we won't name, who has been a guest on the show a number of times last year, went out and played in the Centenary Test.
Yeah,
Came home, got home at 5 a.m.
that's good.
and then played against the Raiders, and you got man of the match.
Yeah, that's
Now,
true.
would you like to confirm or deny two things? One, did it happen? Two, was it 5 a.m.?
Is that the only thing I've got to clarify?
5 a.m. And C, did I just go 1, 2, C? I think I
Yeah,
did.
whatever. I'm with you.
The third one, did you get man of the match?
Yeah, all true. I'm not sure about the 5 a.m. I think it was a little bit later.
I think it could have been later.
So I think it's Centennial Test. I mean, I live in the moment. I mean, looking back on it now, I'm like, that was my last test. So, like, I went out with a bang. So it was great. 100 years of rugby league celebrating. I knew that we had the game the next day at 2 o'clock, a 2 o'clock Saturday Arvo game, which is fucking torture back then. And so we played the game, we won. And I'm like, you always got these young kids that have made their debuts, and they're like, fuck, do we go out? I'm a senior player at the time. Like, Willie, you want to go out? And I'm like, knew I had the game the next day. I was like, fuck it, all right, you know. I was thinking, well, I remember it was my first test. So guys like Gordon Tallis and all these senior players, and they took me out. I was like, I've got to take these guys out. We went out. They didn't have to play till like maybe the Sunday or something like that. You know? And I was like, fucking, just got carried away. I was walking out of some joint. I think it was like at 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock, I reckon. I'll say 8 o'clock. Got home about 9-ish. I said, fuck, I've got to play at 2 o'clock. I got up at around about 11-ish, so about 2 or 3 hours sleep, got up, shook it off, had a shower, got to the game about 12. I would have been honking of piss. And Freddie just goes, get in the fucking ice bath.
Get in the ice bath.
First played ever ice bath before a game. You know, sort of the guys that played in the Centenary Test, we just sort of kept it, you know, low key, wasn't, you know, fucking around. But Freddie obviously knew. Without him, he didn't even really say anything. He just goes, get in the ice bath. And then looked at it, I was like, yeah, good idea. Sat in the ice bath for about 10 minutes, got up, warm up, all that sort of shit, went out, fucking killed it. Played about 33 minutes in the first half, went off. So he brought me off in the first half to ice bath at half time. So I ice bathed at half time, got up, played second half. Yeah, played a blinder, and we all did. But that was the sort of pressure that you put on yourself. It wasn't a time where I actually backed up and I was fresh. None of us in that 2000 era. Like you lived every moment like it was the last, and I do that. And you don't know when it's going to be your last test or your last origin and stuff. So you got these guys, you got to celebrate everything, you know. Like, and I don't regret anything because I was always one of the best players the next day, or if I had to back up a couple of days later, I'd never ever let my teammates down like that. And I knew I had that in me. I was like, I would never be that player that's going to back up and just be dog shit, and I never was. And like that was just the way it was back then. Obviously, I'm not just telling people to go and do that now after a test. It's the fucking worst thing. You'd be crucified. But that was the environment that we lived in, and it was fun. And that was my last test, and it was fucking ripper.
Do you reckon you are the first bloke in history to be actually drinking the ice bath, just trying to rehydrate?
Oh, mate,
just
it was
sitting
so
in there,
funny,
just
mate. Just
lapping
sitting
at
there,
the
just
water.
like, just sitting there going, just sipping the ice. But like it was so refreshing. I don't think you understand. You got up it was a beautiful move from Freddie to put me in that. Legs were fresh as hell. Just got up, just play your best football when you relax, not thinking, not overthinking. It's probably a perfect lesson for some of these young kids. You know, the game, it should come natural to you. You know, like the amount of work that we do during the week, you know, if you're not ready by game day, you're kidding yourself.
Mate, we have been on a few trips together, and let me tell you, no one can back up the way you back up, let alone play professional rugby league. Please do not.
Classic, mate.
For those young players that are listening, do not try. I've tried to get on the drink with Will and just survive the next day, and it's ended poorly. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who have, it has been fun for us because we're ignoring the producer. We're doing no preparation. So we're back to just talking off our heads
football
again. For all of those that would like to help us, please rate, review, and subscribe. We, it's a thing.
Yeah, do it.
And every week we say it, so just go and do
Subscribe, like,
thumbs
up, all that kind of stuff.
Is that a thing? Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Thumbs up us.
All right.
Get your thumb up us. Goodbye.
Following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL.
forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Plus. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
You've been listening to Triwick, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker of Green Room Sydney, and presented by the Handshake Media Network.